Hello. Um, this is our first little broadcast here, and we're doing some testing. We're going to try to get better at everything we do. The intent of these is to sometimes talk to people about theology, about things like traditions that maybe the church has versus what's actually in the text in the Bible. But the overlying concern of people that are involved with me in this ministry is to save souls. I feel like there's a lot of people that are congregating in buildings, they're paying in money, they're not knowing where it goes, and they're not seeing souls saved. It's the same people that are supposedly saved showing up in buildings, and I guess that's okay, but that's not really the intent of the original church. It was to go out and let people know the good news of the gospel, and from there get new people in the body, and for people that were already there to mentor them and to help them. And so if I'm sending these videos out to someone that feels like they're already saved, I'm not always trying to teach you. In some cases you may know as much as me. But what I am trying to do is get you to take some of your unsaved friends, some of the young people you know that are in your family that don't get to hear any of this. Some people that are out in the world and they won't accept standardized churching because they say one of the reasons might be that there's hypocrisy in the church. Things like that, and I think part of the problem has been that sometimes people try to act like they're great Christians. They dress up extra. They are very neat. They try to keep a attitude which seems very humble and very subdued and stuff like that, and they feel like that's basically what Christianity is, other than coming to a building and performing some other rituals and stuff like that. Whenever the gospel is actually in Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, I believe, 1 through 4. Anyway, Paul spells out the gospel there, and it says that you need to believe that you are a sinner. Now, if you don't realize that you're a sinner, we could go through and we could point out some of the things that are in the law, because although in grace we're not under the law, it's still a good indicator of what sin is. But the problem is that I think some people are scared to come to the Lord because they think they're going to have to be perfect right away, because they see all these people playing church, and some of them are meaning well, but actually they're taking people that have problems, whether it be drugs, pornography, just excessive partying. It could be a lot of things that are detrimental to their health and their spiritual well-being, but they just say, I can't be a Christian because I struggle with these things. But I'm here to tell those people, that would be your unsaved friends or people that would watch this as opposed to getting up, getting dressed, going to church. I'm here to tell them that God will save you where you're at. If a needle just fell out of your arm and you know you're at the end of your rope, God saves people in the valleys. The people on the mountaintops don't actually want to be saved many times because they're on the mountaintop. They're making plenty of money, or they've got friends, or they're partying. As long as they aren't by themselves laying in bed and they have nothing else to do, they don't have any crutches, they realize that they're living in what they may not call sin, but they realize that their life's not what they want it to be, but they think they just can't own up. You don't save people that are already cleaned up to the point where they need to be. And there's going to be people after they're saved that are all along the ladder as far as rewards. So there's justification, and then there's sanctification. First, I'm talking about getting people justified. In other words, if the end comes, they've accepted Christ. They know the gospel. That's to admit they're a sinner, accept that Jesus Christ was the Lamb. He died, was buried, and he rose again for them. And if they're able to do that, that's going to get them in the door. Now, they may not be, a big muckety muck in the realm of heaven, or, however you look at it from your theological point of view, but my intent is to get those people saved. And not to, excuse me, I've got a little bit of allergies there. It's not to misinform them in the way that I think a lot of people have. When you come, you're still a sinner. You've made that commitment, and then you understand that you need to accept the gospel because you want that safety net. You want God's hand on your life, and that if something happens, you go out, you get a wreck, just anything happens to you, you have that peace in your heart that you know you can be saved. Now, once you're saved, that doesn't mean you may, if you were one of those pornography people, you may struggle with that on and off, for the rest of your life. If you're having drinking problems, you're going to have to pray about that, and you're going to have some support, and chances are, you may struggle with that. Many churches act like the minute that you make that commitment to Christ, that all of a sudden you're just as clean as a whistle. And I think people are scared of that because they know it does happen in some people's lives. It does happen that God makes a complete turnaround, and it's a miraculous recovery from being in sin. But it doesn't have to be, and people shouldn't feel bad if they can't say that they're one of those cases, because you can be saved and you can have the good feeling of knowing that should things come to the end, or for whatever reason, whether it's because your life stops on this earth, or whether God comes and calls everybody, that you're relying on Jesus Christ to be good. You're not good. Nobody's good. Our works, are just like filthy rags unto the Father. So, Jesus is the best friend you can have, and you don't have to be perfect, but what you do have to do is recognize your sin and be willing to let Him, through His sacrifice, save your soul. And so that's the main thrust of it. But we will have some more interesting things theologically to talk about. We'll talk about what's preterism, what's some good things about it, what's some bad things about it. We're going to talk about whether people feel there's once saved, always saved. We're going to talk about, are there one or are there two gospels? Now, I'm not talking about being saved in two different ways. Everybody is saved by the death, burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and realizing as a sinner they need Him. But there's a gospel that was not taken by Jesus' command, by the way, not taken to the Gentiles and not taken to the Samaritans, but it said, go only in the way of the lost people of the house of Israel. And that's the one gospel, and they preached that all the way through, because you'll notice even after Jesus died, they're going to be doing some things that are saying, well, we've got salvation, but we still have to perform these works in order to have salvation. But that's not the Pauline gospel. And the Pauline gospel is what we're living under today as Gentiles, because we don't know how much Jew, if we have any Jew in us. So, the Pauline gospel was come up by God because He realized that the Jews hadn't done very well with the law, and if they hadn't, and they were supposed to be His people, how good are the Gentiles going to do, right? So we're going to talk about some interesting things. I don't know, at some point some people may be upset. I'll tell you what my background is and where I come from, and what I've done and what I've experienced, because I don't just talk about the denominations. I try to relay what I know about them with my interaction, either being in them or being around them, or having friends that are in them. So we'll do a little bit of that, but my main concern is saving souls. But we're going to try to, we may have a little bit of funny stuff, we may have a little bit of just current events and how they tie in. So we're going to try not to be boring about this thing. But anyway, I wanted to just have this first little video and make a splash and just let everybody know I'm looking forward to being with y'all. I hope you're looking forward to being with me and my team, and let's go out there and save some souls together.